Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to realise they were still haunted by someone else? In today's story, we dive into a raw and emotional true confession. A woman who thought she had everything until her husband's ex-wife got engaged, and jealousy consumed her life. This is not just about love. It's about obsession, insecurity, and the terrifying spiral that can follow when we mistake winning for healing. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll ask yourself, what would you have done? This is Green with Envy. A chilling story based on a viral Reddit post reimagined from the inside. I believed in friendship until the day I nearly killed myself because of it. There is a certain silence that only shame can sculpt. It was in that silence, somewhere between the hollow thrum of the dishwasher and the quiet hum of the night, that I realised I had lost myself. Not in a dramatic, cinematic kind of way. No, it was quieter than that. Smaller. Like a single thread being tugged loose until the entire fabric unravelled. And it started strangely, with a smile. Hers, Emma. She was always smiling gently, carefully, like someone who had once lost everything and learned how to fake peace until it became real. I used to admire that, until I hated it, until I wanted to claw that smile off her face. I should probably start with the moment it broke me. Because it was not when she got engaged, or when Tom mentioned her name so casually, pouring his morning coffee like it meant nothing. No, it was later. Much later. It was the night I followed her fiancé on Instagram. Rewind a month. We were at Tom's sister's birthday dinner. Nothing special, dim, lighting a lazy breeze slipping through the half-open window. The kind of night where laughter feels forced, but everyone pretends it is effortless. Tom's phone buzzed on the table in unfamiliar rhythm. He always puts it on silent. Always. He reached for it fast like a reflex. 2 8. I noticed. Of course I did. My eyes have learned to catch the subtle betrayals, the twitch in a brow, the half-second delay in answering the way a smile can mean 100 different things. He glanced at the screen and smiled. I leaned in, casual, practiced. Everything okay? He nodded. Yeah. Emma just got engaged. There it was, a name I had buried under layers of civility and forced maturity. A name I'd said politely in conversations, as if it didn't make my throat itch. Emma, his ex-wife, the mother of his children, the ghost that refused to stay dead. Good for her, I said, sipping wine I did not like. About time. He smiled again, this time with relief, like I had passed a test I didn't know I was taking. She's been seeing him a while, he added. Didn't want to tell the kids until it was serious. I think it's good. He seems like a decent guy. Decent guy, I bet. I let the words drift between us like steam from my wine glass. Nodded, smiled, pretended. Inside something cracked. A quiet shift like bones settling in the wrong place. Later that night in bed, I stared at the ceiling while Tom slept beside me. His breathing was steady, peaceful. He always slept like that. Like someone who had never learned to listen for danger in the silence. I picked up my phone, searched her name, found her profile still private. But the fiancé public, careless. His page was full of pictures, hiking, brunch, a child's drawing on the fridge, and there she was, Emma tucked into his side hair a little longer, smile unchanged. I zoomed in on her face, studied it like a map, searching for evidence of fraudulence, for proof that she was faking happiness. She was not, and that made it worse. I sent the follow request. People say jealousy is green. I think it is colourless, like poison gas. You do not see it, you breathe it. And one day you realise you have been choking for months. The next morning, Tom kissed me goodbye like nothing had changed. Maybe for him, it had not. Maybe for him, Emma getting engaged was just a milestone, a relief. But for me, it was the beginning of the unravelling. Because if she had moved on, then who had truly won? I had thought loving him meant I had. I had thought bearing his guilt meant I deserved him. But now, seeing her so effortlessly adored, I realised I was still competing. And worse, I was losing. That night, her fiancé accepted my follow request. I stared at the notification like it was a confession. My heart skipped guilty and giddy. He posted again. Emma, sunset. A caption I can still taste like blood found my person. My hands shook. I liked the post. Tom walked into the room holding popcorn, asking if I wanted to watch something light. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. The photo was still open in my palm. I turned the screen off, smiled at my husband, and sat beside him like a lie. That was how it started, with a smile I could not forgive, with a post I could not unsee, and with a part of myself that began to rot quietly, beautifully from the inside out. Love does not rot all at once. It ferments sweet at first, then bitter. I used to believe I was the prize. Maybe that sounds arrogant. Maybe it is. But I told myself that over and over again when we first got together, when Tom was still tangled in the ruins of his marriage, and I was the breath of air he reached for. We had met at work. Late nights, shared coffee, private jokes. I was his safe place. Or at least I thought I was. And when his divorce finalised, I let myself believe I had earned him, earned his love, earned the right to exist in the space she used to occupy. Now, I was the wife, the one who shared his bed, planned his birthdays, listened to his breathing slow into sleep. But still, Emma lingered, not as a woman, but as a myth. The perfect ex, the kind and pleasant mother of his children, the woman he never had to hate in order to leave. And that made her dangerous. I did not follow her on Instagram. That would have been too obvious. But I followed him, her fiancé, her new life through him. His name was Jason. Jason with the soft eyes and the patient captions. Jason who posted about therapy and composting and date night with this beauty like it was his religion. He posted once about her kids, Tom's kids, said something about how proud he was of them, and that more than anything sent a jolt through me. A white-hot current of fear and rage and something worse. Because he was not their father. Tom was, and yet, there he was, smiling with them, holding Emma's daughter like she belonged to him. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I scrolled deeper. Late into the night, while Tom snored beside me, I devoured their curated joy. Every brunch plate, every matching pyjama set, every damn caption that sounded like a Hallmark card. It felt like falling into a mirror where I did not exist. 2 days later, Tom mentioned they were taking the kids to Emma's for the weekend. He said it like it was nothing, like he was not sending them into the arms of another man. I smiled. Sounds good. He kissed my cheek. Thanks for being cool about all this. Not everyone would be, I nodded. Inside, I was screaming. I began checking Jason's account hourly. He posted sparingly, but when he did, it felt deliberate. Like each photo was a chess move I had to counter. That weekend, he posted a picture of Emma and the kids baking cookies. Home is wherever they are, he wrote. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I made a new account. A fake one. No profile picture. No name. Just a username that meant nothing. I used it to send him a message. It was not flirtatious. Not at first, just, you look like such a good guy. Emma's lucky. He replied within a day, thank you. That means a lot. That was all it took. A crack in the wall. I do not know what I was hoping for. Validation. A reason to hate him, to prove he was a fraud. All I know is that I kept the conversation going, and somewhere along the way it shifted. I would compliment his smile. He would thank me. I would ask if it was hard dating someone with kids. He would say it was worth it. I said he had kind eyes. He sent a smiley face. It was innocent, almost, but even the smallest fire, if left unchecked, will burn down a house. Tom walked in on me once messaging Jason. He thought I was texting a friend. He glanced over, saw nothing strange, and moved on. And I hated how easy it was to deceive him, how he still trusted me, like a fool. That night he made dinner, pasta, nothing fancy. We sat on the couch, knees touching forks clinking. He said Emma seemed happy, that Jason was good with the kids, that this was the best case scenario. I stared at him. "Do you ever think about her?" I asked. He blinked. "What do you mean, just if things had been different?" He shook his head slow. "No. I love you. What we have, that's what I want." He meant it. I could hear it in his voice. And that was when I knew it was not about him. It was never about him. It was about me. Because deep down, I had always believed he was too good for me. And now, seeing Emma so adored by someone else, I began to wonder if maybe she had been the better woman all along. Maybe I had never won anything. Maybe all I had done was interrupt. I messaged Jason again that night. This time I said, "Do you ever think about what came before?" He did not reply right away. But when he did, it was just one word sometimes. And that was enough. The worst part of envy isn't what it makes you do, it's what it makes you become. It is a strange thing to watch yourself disappear while pretending to be whole. On the outside, I was still myself. Still brushing my hair, still texting colleagues, still folding laundry and leaving half-empty coffee cups in the sink. But inside, something had shifted. No fractured, like a hairline cracking glass, invisible at first, but spreading under pressure until one day the whole thing shatters in your hands. I was not me anymore. Or maybe this was me and I just did not want to see it. Jason stopped replying. Maybe he sensed something. Or maybe he got busy. Or maybe, God help me, Emma saw the messages. The account I used had no identity, no link to me. But paranoia is a clever animal, it chews at your sleep. So I began checking her account. Emma still did not follow me, but I found the edges of her life through comments, tags, glimpses in stories. She posted a quote once, "Healing is messy, but so is staying broken." I laughed aloud, bitter, breathless, like she had any idea what being broken meant. Tom noticed something was off. Of course he did. He was not blind. He asked me gently one night, his voice low like it might scare me if it rose too loud. "Are you okay?" I smiled. "Just tired." He wrapped his arms around me. I lay against his chest, listening to his heart like it might tell me the truth. But all I heard was the echo of my lie. The next day he caught me. It was subtle, stupid really. I had forgotten to log out of the fake account. He opened my phone to check a recipe, found the app still open, still logged in, still mid-conversation. The screen lit up in his palm, Jason's name a heart emoji. When I came out of the bathroom, the look on his face told me everything. There are no words for that kind of silence. It is not anger, not even betrayal. It is vacancy, a hollowness that creeps in like cold. "Whose account is this?" he asked. My throat locked. I could have lied. I wanted to, but I was tired. So tired. So I said nothing. And silence told him everything. That night we argued. Not with shouting, but with truths. "I was just trying to protect us," I said. He laughed, bitter, raw. By stalking my ex, by flirting with her fiancé, I flinched. It was not flirting, it was research. That made it worse. He sat down hard like the floor betrayed him. "You sent him messages from a fake account. Do you have any idea what that looks like?" I did. I had seen the woman in movies, the one who could not let go, the one people whispered about. And now she lived in my skin. I just wanted to know why she gets to be happy, I said finally. Why she gets to be loved like that. Tom stared at me. She was happy. Once. With me. I looked away. He added softer, "You are the one I chose." But that did not feel like comfort. It felt like a burden, like proof of the theft I had committed. The next morning, he barely spoke. He took the kids to school. I sat on the edge of our bed, hands in my lap, staring at nothing. And then I opened Instagram. Jason's profile was gone. Private again. Blocked, maybe. I felt a pang, sharp and shameful. Not for losing him, for being seen. That night, Tom confronted me again. His voice was colder now. Not angry, just distant. "I told you she was kind," he said. "I thought you'd be glad. That the kids would have someone decent in their lives." I nodded small. "She is kind," I said. And then something snapped. He stared at me. "Why would you say that?" I blinked. "What? You sound like you hate her." I shrugged. "Do I?" That was when he stood. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt something break between us. Not like glass. More like bone. Painful. Slow. Irreversible. Later he asked the question I had feared most. "Why would you think she is not worth love?" I said nothing, so he answered for me. "You think no one wants her because she lost me? Because that made you the better woman?" Tears pricked my eyes, but I did not cry. Instead, I whispered, "You were supposed to choose me. And only me." I did. No, I mean, choose me and forget her. That is not how it works. I stood furious. She was supposed to fade. She was supposed to disappear. Tom's voice dropped low and dangerous. "She is the mother of my children. She never disappears." And then, so quietly it cut deeper than a scream, he said, "You do not get to rewrite love." That night I slept on the couch. Or pretended to. Eyes open, breath shallow, listening for the sound of him walking away for good. If you stare at someone's happiness long enough, you begin to believe it was stolen from you. I stopped sleeping. Not in a dramatic, wide-eyed insomnia way, but in the slow, eroding sense of time becoming meaningless. Nights bled into mornings. I would lie in the dark, the ceiling pressing down like water, trying to remember the last time I felt full. Even the children sensed something. They were quieter around me, like birds in a storm, still watchful. They went to Tom for questions to Emma's house for joy. I watched them leave one morning, laughing in the back seat, and I hated myself for what I felt. Because it was not love. It was competition. Tom did not look at me the same anymore. He was not cruel. But there was distance now measured in glances, in the way he answered me with nods instead of words. I asked if he wanted coffee. He said I already made some. I asked how work was. He said, fine. Nothing more. Just fine. We used to talk for hours. Now, silence was our native tongue. One evening, I logged into the fake account again. I should have deleted it, but it was the only place where I still felt control. Jason had not posted since I last messaged him. I had been blocked quietly, effectively. Still, I scrolled through his pictures, through Emma's face. She looked happy. Not just posed happy, but that soft, settled happiness that comes from being chosen without drama. I wondered if she ever looked at me the way I looked at her. Probably not. She never had to compete. That night, Tom found the account again. I had left the browser open on my laptop. I heard his voice from across the room, quiet and cracked. "Why are you still doing this?" I could not answer. He came closer, held up the screen like a confession. "You told me you stopped." "I meant to." He stared at me. "Are you trying to ruin everything?" That question sliced through me, because the answer might have been yes. "I just wanted her to lose something," I whispered. Tom flinched. I added bitterly, "She lost you, but she still won. Doesn't that bother you?" "No." One word, flat. Honest, I'm not a prize, he said. Neither is she, neither are you. He was right, and I hated him for it. After that, the distance between us became measurable. We stopped sharing meals, stopped sharing stories, stopped touching. We were two people orbiting the same pain, careful not to collide. I started writing things down, not to journal, just to remember who I was before this. I wrote things like, I used to laugh with my whole body. I used to wear yellow. I used to believe love meant winning. That last one stayed on the page too long, because I did not know what I believed anymore. Only that envy is a slow death, and I was already halfway gone. One afternoon, Emma called. She never did that before. I answered with a tight breath. Hey, she said, voice soft. The kids left their book bags at my place. Tom's not picking up. I blinked. He's at work. Right. Can I drop them off? Silence. I should have said no, but instead I said sure. 10 minutes later, she stood at my door, hair pulled back, no makeup, still effortlessly graceful. She handed me the bags with a small smile. And I froze, because behind her in the driver's seat was Jason. He waved. My breath caught. I took the bags and stepped inside, but I could not close the door. I stood there listening to their car drive away, wondering what kind of woman she had become to deserve a second kind of happiness. That night I stared at myself in the mirror, and I did not recognize the woman there. Not the eyes, not the mouth, not the dull ache behind the smile. Tom came home late. We passed in the hallway like strangers. I turned back once, hoping he would stop. He did not. So I went into the bedroom, alone, and cried into a pillow that still smelled like him. There is a moment in every collapse when you realize the thing you built was never real, and the damage, it was always already done. Some truths do not arrive with thunder. They arrive with a whisper and destroy you all the same. I do not know what I expected from that night. A fight, maybe, or tears. Something cinematic, but reality is quieter. The night Tom confronted me for the last time, it began with stillness. He walked in from work, dropped his keys in the bowl, like he always did. Removed his shoes, hung his coat. There was no tension in his movements. But his eyes, they avoided mine. That was how I knew. He had made a decision. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. The silence between us felt almost kind, like it was protecting us from what we were about to do. Then, he said I saw her. He did not need to explain who. I nodded. She told me you let her drop the kids' bags off. Another nod. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. She said, you looked small. That word landed like glass in my throat. She said she almost didn't recognize you, neither did I. Tom did not yell. He never did. But his voice, low and worn, was worse than shouting. You used to be the kindest person I knew. My heart cracked. He kept going. You loved fiercely. You protected what mattered. And now, all I see is fear. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. You think I'm afraid of her? He shook his head. You're afraid of yourself. It was not anger in his eyes. It was mourning, like he was grieving me before I was even gone. I whispered, I just wanted you to love me louder. He looked up, tears rimmed in disbelief. I did. I stared at him, and for the first time I saw it, the late-night dinners, the surprise flowers, the way he always saved the last bite for me. Love was never missing, only my ability to believe it. I broke then, not loudly, not messily, just completely, like ice cracking underfoot. I curled into myself, sobbing quietly. He reached for me, then stopped. And that was the moment I knew he had let go. I don't want to lose you, I said. He exhaled, slow, painful, then Stop fighting ghosts. That night I told him everything. About the messages, about the fake account, about the ugly thoughts I had whispered into the dark. I did not hold back, and when I finished, I waited. For him to yell, for him to leave, for him to do anything. Instead, he just looked at me and said, "You need help." It stung more than anything else, not because it was cruel, but because it was true. He slept in the guest room. I lay awake, heart hollow, and somewhere in the quiet hours before dawn I whispered, "I think I hate myself." No one heard me, but the walls did, and they did not argue. In the morning, the house was too clean. He had left early. The bed was made. There was a note on the table. "Therapy is not defeat. It is survival. I'll be home late." I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it, tucked it into my chest like a bandage. Later that day, I deleted the fake account. Not just logged out, deleted it. Fully, completely. It felt like burning a bridge you should never have built. The fire felt good. I called Ayid a therapist. The first words I said were, "I don't want to be the villain anymore." She asked who I thought the hero was, and I could not answer, because maybe there wasn't one. That night, Tom did not come home. I sat by the window for hours. The porch light stayed on, not for him, but for me, because even villains need light sometimes. Redemption is not an apology. It is a reckoning. The first therapy session was awkward, not because of her, but because of me. I did not know where to begin. I had too many beginnings, too many buried pieces, too many versions of myself I had abandoned along the way. But I started where I could. "I am jealous," I said. The words tasted like vinegar, sharp, acidic. And I lie. I hurt people who trust me. I sabotage things when they are good. I stopped. The tears came fast. The therapist, her name was Mara, just nodded. Like she had seen this before. Like it did not scare her. "You're not alone," she said. "But you do need to decide, are you protecting yourself or punishing everyone else?" The question stuck with me. It followed me into the car, into the grocery store, into the empty bed where Tom used to sleep. I began writing again. Not notes this time. Letters, unsent, unaddressed, just truths. To Tom, "I never thought you'd choose me, so I tried to make sure you could never unchoose me." But that meant building a prison and calling it love. To Emma, "You scare me. Not because you took something from me, but because you didn't have to." To myself, "You are not always wrong, but you are often afraid. And fear does not love, it devours." I stopped checking Jason's profile, stopped searching Emma's name, stopped trying to rewrite the past into a story where I was the hero. Instead, I began to observe my own narrative. And what I saw horrified me. I had not just envied Emma. I had become her reflection. Every smile she wore, I tried to ruin. Every piece she built, I tried to question. And for what? Because I could not forgive myself for winning a man who was never meant to be a prize. Because I thought if she suffered, I would feel less guilty. It was not about love. It was about debt. And I'd been collecting it like a miser in a burning house. 1 week later, Tom agreed to meet me for coffee. Neutral territory. No kids, no house, no memories echoing from the walls. He sat down tense, his jaw tight. I handed him a letter. "Just read it," I said. He did, slowly, carefully. When he finished, he looked up. There were no tears, no grand gestures, just a quiet exhale. "I don't know what to say," he murmured. "You don't have to," I whispered. "I just wanted you to know. I see it now. Everything. And I'm sorry." We sat in silence. It felt different this time. Not empty, but clean, like air after a storm. Finally, he spoke. I miss you, but I don't trust you. I nodded. That's fair. He hesitated. Do you want to fix this? My heart skipped. Yes, but only if we're rebuilding something better. Not the same house with the same rot. He gave the smallest smile. I'll think about it. That night I did not cry. I made dinner, I played soft music. I washed dishes and did not check my phone once. Because healing is not a reward. It is a routine. And I was ready to practice it. I began therapy twice a week. I learned things about myself I never wanted to know. That my need for control came from abandonment. That my jealousy was inherited, watched, learned, passed down like jewelry. That love for me had always meant earning safety. And that when it was given freely, I panicked, because I did not believe I deserved it. Mara asked once, what would it mean to forgive Emma? I blinked. I don't think I can. Why not? Because then I have no one left to blame. She smiled. And that's when you begin. It was not easy. There were days I hated everything. Myself, Tom, her. But they were fewer now, and shorter, and the light came back faster. One morning, Tom texted, "Can we talk again? Not about the past, about what comes next." I smiled. Maybe we would rebuild. Maybe we wouldn't. But at least now, whatever we built would be made of truth, not fear, and that was the first real peace I had ever felt. Closure does not arrive with answers. It arrives when the questions stop echoing. The next meeting with Tom felt different. There was no wariness in his eyes this time, no quiet suspicion, just distance, measured, intentional, like he was observing me from behind a wall, deciding whether I was worth letting in again. I did not blame him. I had earned that distance. He ordered his usual black coffee, no sugar. I ordered tea. That surprised him. You always hated tea. I think I just wanted to hate something I said. He gave a tight smile. We sat in silence. Then softly he asked, why her? I knew what he meant. Why Emma? Why now? Why still? I looked at him. Really looked. And then I told him the truth. When we first met, you were still married. Not technically cheating maybe, but emotionally. You weren't free. And I told myself that was okay. That I was helping you escape something broken. But then you left her. And I became the woman you left her for. And I thought that would make me feel powerful. But it didn't. It made me feel borrowed. He said nothing. I went on. So when she found love again, I felt disposable, like she had healed, like she had been chosen again. And I had not. I was just convenient. The next person in line. Tom's eyes dropped. That's not true, he said. But that's how it felt, I replied. Feelings aren't facts, but they build your world anyway. We sat with that. The way you sit with a wound that is finally clean, but still stings. He nodded eventually. I wish you had told me. I smiled bitterly. I didn't want you to see how small I had become. Later he walked me to my car. We paused at the door. I asked, do you hate me? He looked at me, really looked. No. But I can't love this version of you, the one who hides behind jealousy. I don't want to be her anymore. I hope that's true. He stepped back. Let's give it time. And then he walked away, not like someone abandoning me, but like someone choosing themselves for the first time. I cried that night, but it was not grief. It was release. The weeks that followed were strange. I returned to old habits, but softer. I cooked. I painted my nails. I opened windows just to let air in. I smiled at strangers. I went to therapy and said hard things like, I don't trust easy love. I crave punishment because it feels familiar. Maybe I hurt people because I think that makes me safer. And Mara would nod and say, good, keep going. One day I saw a post, Emma and Jason, holding hands, at a park, no children, just them. The caption was simple, "Peace feels like this." I stared at it for a long time. Then I closed the app. Not in anger, not in envy, just peace, my peace. Later I wrote her a letter, not to send, just to feel what it meant. Emma, I resented your joy because I didn't know how to build my own. I called your happiness fake because mine was. I tried to ruin what you had because I didn't know how to protect what I had been given. I don't know if we'll ever speak. I don't know if you even care. But if this pain has taught me anything, it's that love isn't a victory, it's a vow. And I broke mine. I'm sorry, truly. Me, I folded it and placed it in a drawer. A quiet monument to a war I had finally stopped fighting. I do not know what Tom will choose. I do not know if this story ends with forgiveness. But I know this, I am no longer waiting to be saved. And that, in itself, is a beginning. You do not bury the past. You outgrow it. Emma called me. Not a text, not an accident. A real, deliberate phone call. I almost did not answer. My finger hovered above the screen, heartbeat thudding like a warning. But I did. And her voice, when it came through, was softer than I remembered. Hey. Hey, I echoed. Silence. Then gently she said, I think we should talk. I sat down. Okay. We met at a park. Neutral ground. She wore no makeup, her hair in a loose bun. She looked ordinary, beautiful but not intimidating, human. We sat on opposite benches, like chess pieces, polite and distant. She went first. I don't hate you. I laughed under my breath. You should. I don't. More silence. She looked at the grass, then at me. You were scared. I get it. I blinked. That's generous. No, she said. It's just true. She leaned forward. I used to think love had to come with pain, that if it didn't hurt, it wasn't real. I nodded. Same. And then I met someone who just showed up. Every day. No drama, just quiet kindness. Jason. I felt the pang again. But this time it didn't bloom into bitterness. Just sadness. For who I had been. Emma continued. So when I saw the messages, I was angry. Not because you talked to him, but because you were still living in a story that doesn't serve you. I swallowed. I didn't want you to win. She nodded. I know. And now I looked up. Now, I just want to stop losing. She reached into her purse, pulled out a folded paper. I wrote this, after I blocked the account. I took it, hands trembling. It said, you don't have to like me. But I hope one day you like yourself. I felt the tears before I could stop them. I'm trying, I whispered. I can see that she said. We did not talk about Tom. We did not talk about who he chose. Because somehow that no longer mattered. This moment, this fragile, impossible moment between two women who had once seen each other only as threats was not about him. It was about us. About the weight we had both carried. About the freedom of setting it down. As we stood to leave, Emma said something I will never forget. I hope you find someone who makes you forget how it felt to fight for love. I smiled. Maybe that someone is me, she grinned. Then you're already ahead of the game. After that day, I stopped asking Tom for updates. I stopped watching for signs of reconciliation. I just lived. I planted herbs on the windowsill. I repainted the kitchen white with gold handles. I took a dance class. Alone. And when I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months, I realised something. Emma had not stolen happiness from me. She'd simply reminded me it was possible. Tom texted a week later. Saw the kitchen. It looks nice. Glad you're doing well, I replied. Thank you. I hope you are too. That was all, and it was enough. There is a myth that closure comes with answers, but closure is a door you build yourself. And one day, quietly, you walk through it. Not because someone opened it for you, but because you learned how to stop holding the handle. Some endings do not close the book. They begin a new chapter you never thought you'd write. It has been 6 months. 6 months since I stopped being her. The version of me that stalked happiness like a hunter, that mistook possession for love, that built cages out of comparison and called it protection. I do not miss her, but sometimes I still feel her. When I pass a happy couple on the street, when I see a family smiling in a restaurant, when I scroll past someone's engagement announcement and feel that old tightening in my chest. But now I name it. I see you envy, and then I let it go. Tom and I still speak, sometimes casually about the kids, about logistics, sometimes deeper. He came over last month for dinner. I cooked too much. We sat in the backyard with wine and music playing from my phone. He looked around and said, "You've made this place yours." I smiled. That was the idea. He nodded. And I realised in that moment I did not need him to move back in. I did not need him to love me like he once did. What I needed, what I finally had, was my own peace. Emma sent me a photo recently. The kids dressed up for a school event, smiling, radiant. Underneath she wrote, "They're lucky to have all of us." It made me cry, because that was the truth I had resisted for so long. We were not opponents. We were extensions of the same love for the same children, for the same man once, for the same kind of peace. And maybe that was not romantic, but it was real. I started painting again. Nothing fancy, just colours on canvas. Emotions without names. One day I painted a door, bright red, slightly open. On the other side, light spilled in. I did not know what it meant at first, but I do now. It is a symbol, not of escape, but of return, not to a person, to myself. My therapist asked, "What does forgiveness look like to you now?" I thought for a moment, then said, "It looks like sitting across from someone you once envied and feeling nothing but hope for them." She smiled. "And for yourself. That's the hard part. But I'm working on it every day. Sometimes love doesn't survive. Sometimes it transforms. Tom and I are not together, but we are not broken. We are something else now, something quieter, something stronger. We built something from the ashes, not a new marriage, but a truer friendship. And for the first time, it feels enough. There is a kind of power in saying I messed up. I caused pain, but I am not only my worst moment. That is what healing is, not erasure, integration. I once believed that if Emma won, I lost, that if she was loved, I would be forgotten. But now, I know love is not a competition. It is a river, endless, and there is enough for all of us. I do not know what my future holds, but I know this. I will never again chase peace through someone else's suffering. I will never again confuse love with possession, and I will never again look in the mirror and see someone unworthy of joy, because I have earned this quiet. I have built this stillness, and whatever comes next, it will not be a battle. It will be a beginning.